As most of you have been on here before, if you have questions as I'm going, don't hesitate to interrupt me and ask as we go. I try to cover 3 different topics. Two of the ones tonight are both fairly inexpensive and I think super invaluable. And then the other one's as expensive as you choose to make it. And I can't stress this enough. It doesn't matter what you do, as long as you do everything consistently enough, it works. So it doesn't matter whichever one of these ones that you want to use, as long as you do enough of it, it will work for you. So one of the things that I have been hot and heavy working on right now, and it seems like always this time of year, I do all of my marketing planning for the following year. And it started, 3, 4 years ago. I went to a Tom Ferry event and it was super cold in the auditorium. And I went back to the hotel room and tuned in on the live thing. And if any of you know me super well, I can't just do one thing at a time. So I'm having to do a whole bunch of things because that's how my ADD works. And so I was like, okay, how can I knock out all of my marketing for next year? Because they had a lot of cool marketing ideas. And so I just sat down and did it in the hotel room. So then it kind of became a thing. Every event for Tom Ferry, I would be in Dallas, I would be in the hotel room. My clients knew I was busy. Most of the agents knew I was busy. And so I just would carve out the time to do that. So, Chris, a lot of you also probably know that I don't do closing gifts. So I didn't get a closing gift from my OB when I had my kid, and I didn't get a gift from my lawyer when I got divorced or any of that stuff. So I just believe if I do a good job, that's gift enough. I do send a thank you card after, but I am very big on Pop-Bys and gifts for referrals and Christmas, Thanksgiving, different things like that. So that was what I was going to start off with this evening. So a couple of things that I will do, and I want to kind of run through these. And I think a lot of this is super important to just keep on hand. So anytime somebody on Facebook has a baby, it's one of my clients, they get a onesie and it said new kids on the block, new kid on the block. And it's like the new kids on the block logo, and it's got some feet with little feet prints on it. And Kelly always puts together something really cute and drops it off at their house. So when you have an assistant, that makes things a little bit easier. They can do all of this running, but a lot of times with Amazon, it's so easy. You can just get it dropped off at your door, assemble it, drop it off at the client's house. So babies, marriages, anniversaries, retirements. If I see them doing something, they got a big promotion at work, or they just graduated from college with another degree or something like that, I have a ton of just cards on stock that I'm constantly mailing stuff out. Just something handwritten, congratulations to them. When they get married, I always order a custom doormat, and it's like Mr. and Mrs. blah, blah, blah established and the year. And then I drive it, I drop it off at their door. I take a picture of it on their door and I send them a text message congratulating them on their wedding. And what's funny about a lot of the things that I do and the thought process that I have with it is I see a lot of people dropping off like crumble cookies or something that's edible, or flowers or things like that. And I like the flowers and the fact that if you can deliver them at work so other people see them, it helps propagate what you're doing. But so much of that time, like you're dropping off a bottle of wine or champagne or something, it's consumable. And as soon as they consume it, typically they are off on the next tangent in their mind, just like I am. And so I try to do stuff that is more memorable, or they will see it. And it's a constant reminder to keep me front of mind. And it's not all about me. It is celebrating what they're doing. But if we're going to do it, we might as well get the most bang for our buck when we're doing it. So the baby onesies, I've bought them in bulk. I have a local person here. It's another way for me to network. Hey, I need these done. They're like $6 or $7 for me to buy 10 of them at a time. So it's really, really cheap. The cards, I usually, when I'm at home or Home Goods, I just pick up a handful of random stuff, all different topics. And I have it here, which also came in clutch a couple weeks ago. It was my mom's birthday and I hadn't bought a card yet. So I had birthday cards on file because I suck at that. I suck at remembering. So Facebook is excellent at showing you people's birthdays They comment that they're at anniversaries. Another cool idea that I did for an anniversary, I saw two of my clients. They posted something saying that it was their 10-year anniversary. I could tell what restaurant they were at in Wichita. And I called the restaurant and I said, hey, you have this young Hispanic couple. They're sitting up by the front. There's a blue vase on their table, this, and I'm describing them. And I said, can I give you my credit card number? And then you put their dessert on my tab. And they did that. And it was awesome. Like I got instant text messages. Oh my gosh, I can't believe that you did this. And then they post about it on social media. So again, I wanted to do it or I wouldn't have done it, but it's great also that they appreciated it enough to think enough about it to post it so that more and more people are seeing your name and seeing that you do care about your clients. Because I think that's really what it boils down to deep down, for me anyway. So what I have advised all of my new clients on this sort of stuff, my new like real estate agent clients, if you will, is just to create a marketing budget. Figure out something. You're going to have a budget when you do this. You can't run a business with no marketing budget. And create a budget where you can do 4 or 5 different things a month. The cards, couple bucks a piece, and then the Pop-Bys, I usually just do 4 or 5 a month when we were starting out. And it's absolutely anything. We're going to get into postcards here in just a little bit, but one of the things that I have done a lot of is designing the postcards on Canva, which we're going to talk about. And I design them for the whole year. And it's just, I went through the calendar, everybody, David and I had a conversation about this morning. We were talking about National Daughters Day. Like, when did that become a thing? It's like now all of a sudden we have National Tortilla Chip and like weird days. But if you Google that, there's a ton of calendars that are out there and you can pick which days you want to participate in and provide something as a drop off for your clients. So on the tortilla chip day, I made some salsa. I did drop off some chips and I just dropped it off. And never fails again. People take pictures, they post it. We have the filter. She just brought over homemade salsa, whatever. And it's one of those things that is cook a whole lot, but I make a killer salsa. So if you're known for something, stick with it. Don't reinvent the wheel when you're doing these Pop-Bys. But usually there's a lot of different things like Lowe's during Christmas, they'll have, or Aldi's, they'll have a couple dollar, like $5 chrysanthemums or different things like that you can pick up super duper cheap and take them and do Pop-By. So as your database is getting large, if you don't have clients, if you haven't ever sold a single house, drop them off to your friends, drop them off to people that you're going to be doing business with at some point in your career and just start really loving on them, or start really building a VIP relationship with other people that you think could be influential to your business. So if you see somebody that's constantly sharing your posts or something like that, those are the best people to love on, or people that are just kind of out and about around a lot of people all the time. And they're just kind of that connector, and you can tell it on social media, or you can tell it when you're going out and you're meeting them and they're introducing you to a lot of other people. Those are the people to love on. Those are the people to drop things off at. Even if you don't know their answer or their address, a lot of us have access at this point to forewarn. And so even like today, I got a new Zillow lead. I went and met them to show them a house. I look them up. I send them a thank you and I send them my card again. So great meeting you. Look forward to helping you guys on your house hunting journey, blah, blah, blah. It's just constantly something to stay in front of people. So as your database gets bigger, or as your past client list gets bigger, the thing that I have done is dividing it up either into zip code, or for us, Wichita is pretty defined east and west and north and south and those types of things. And I just do all of them on the exact same. So everything that's going to go west, I just time slot it into my calendar and I go west and deliver all of them. Even like for me, I do a house anniversary gift every single month for every single year that those clients have been in my database. So even if they've lived in their house for 20 years, they get a house anniversary gift from me, but I drop them all off on the same day for January or February or whatever. It's not necessarily the exact day of when their house anniversary is. But it's kind of funny that how well people remember that. I've got a listing right now that when we sat across the table, he was commenting about how good I was and how they always liked getting their house anniversary gifts. So I think it just goes back to letting people know that you give a shit and care, because a lot of times they don't feel like they really get that at work or family members or things like that. And they feel like you're thinking about them and you're supporting them. The other things that I do gifts on Christmas, every year for everybody that bought a house from me that year, I send them a Christmas ornament that is their first Christmas in their house, and it has the year on it. And then every Thanksgiving, I create a list of everybody that gave me referrals for the year, or some of my bigger top clients that I really want to build more of a relationship, high-end clients, and I send it to them. I don't know. Oh, Cynthia, you're raising your hand. I'm like, what is that beeping? You know, I'm not Zoom savvy.
I know. I don't want to interrupt, but I want you to finish.
Yeah.
This is something I've been doing myself. If I have the listing and I don't represent the buyer who's buying my listing, I'm still sending that buyer something, because I pay for home warranty on every single one of my listings. And the reason is because buyers can't afford it. But even after they've been in there a year, I'm still sending them something in the mail. And a lot of times they're calling me for problems because their agent won't pick up the phone and help them. So that's one of the good things about doing this, is even if you didn't bring the buyer to your listing, this is still another way, because you know when you sold that listing. So this is another way to pick up that client, and then they will tell all their friends and family or whoever. So if you haven't done that already, do that, because even though they weren't your client, they still bought your listing. So it kind of helps out.
And to play off of that, I mean, you think about it, when you look at the stats and you go, okay, 80% of agents don't renew their license after 2 years. There's a lot of people that are orphaned, if that's the term that we want to use, and they just don't have that real estate contact. And in our mind, that seems so foreign, because like what we talked about last week about buying Zillow leads, I was like, man, I'm just going to buy the cheap ones because they're going to be the first time home buyers who don't already have agents. And then now here I am buying the most expensive ones, and I'm like, they don't have agents either, because their agent didn't follow up with them. They can't remember their name. They didn't do a good job, whatever the situation was. It's amazing to me how many remember their name. And a lot of times, yeah.
And also, if you have somebody on your friend list or whatever on social media and they didn't use you as an agent, but then you saw that they bought, and then you see them repost the memory that they bought their house a year ago, even though they didn't use you, go ahead and send something to them. I did see a video of an agent in Australia. I don't know if you saw this, Lesley, but it was on Instagram or Facebook, but a guy's doing that. So every time there is a 1 year, even 2 year, even 3 year home anniversary, he sends out stuff, because that agent isn't connecting with them, isn't staying connected. And that is how he's been getting his business as well now.
That's awesome. I think it's super important. I add all of the buyers from my listing to my monthly mailing list. So I know some agents don't like that, or they think it's slimy or whatever, but I think if they're doing enough marketing, it's not going to matter. They're going to stay, and they did a good job for that buyer, then that buyer is going to stay loyal to them. It doesn't matter how many things I send, but law of averages is that the agent isn't staying in touch with them. And so the more they can just see your name and know that you already sold that house. I had that happen 2 years ago. I had somebody call me and they're like, hey, I don't know if you remember me. I'm so and so. And I said, I don't know why. I'm kind of Rain Man with this. And I'm like, oh yeah, you bought 4504 Norwood. And they're like, yeah. They said, you didn't represent us. And I said, yeah, I remember. And they said, yeah, that person, like you took care of every single thing. They sucked. And we want to sell our house and we want you to help us buy something this time. And so I turned around, sold it. I sold it to an investor. So I double-sided the front deal and then wound up selling them another house. And now I have future business. I've got Google reviews from them, all of that. So it definitely helps to stay in front of them. And it doesn't matter. As we all know with marketing, it's just numbers. So the more people that you're in front of and the more people that you're connecting with, the higher the probability is of your number of sales. So one of the things that I am bumping up this year, so for my higher end clients in my database, there's a local place just north of Wichita and Keachai that you can do like hand blown glass Christmas ornaments. And so they're going to get those for you guys that are in town. I think it was like 36 or $38. Those are the only two that I really spend like $20 to $30 on. Um, the people that have given me referrals, I give them something when they gave me the referral initially, but then also that year at Thanksgiving, I write a little handwritten note that I'm thankful for their business. I'm thankful for their referrals, blah, blah, blah. And then I give them their gift. So just something to think about. And I'm sure there's 100 other things that we could give gifts and really think about if we were super cognizant of that. But that's just kind of the high level of Pop-Bys and things that we do. One other funny story, just so that you're thinking about this and getting your wheels turning with it. We had something, it was like a national eat something sweet day or something. And so I had Kelly pick up little Snicker bars and drop them off. And don't do that. I think it's in July. So if that doesn't go over very well, hanging on a front door while somebody's at work and then they get home and they get, it looks like melted turds in a bag. So it doesn't work very well. But the thing that I do with that, like I said, I go through, and this is something that'll lead us into Canva. And I think if you don't have access to Canva, that's the first thing that you need almost for a business. It's like 12 or $13 a month. I can't remember. I've got so many subscriptions to random things, but this is the one that I feel like I get the biggest bang for my buck. But I go in and I design them all at once. And I do that for a couple of different reasons. One, I even order them all at once when I order them. And that way I already have them. It makes it super easy for me to not brush it off, because I could tell you my social media videos have sucked because I've taken a back seat. I've been so slammed that I'm like, and I've had it even penciled into my calendar, but then more and more people keep calling and I just keep going on appointments and it's easy to just slide it off. But when you've already spent the money and the cards are sitting right there, it's just like, okay, I know that I need to do this. And when you have an assistant, it makes it even easier that you have that and it's already done and you can delegate it for that person to do. But the other thing that the reason I do it this way is because, it's no different than writing a book report. Usually the part that took the longest about writing an essay or something like that is getting started and getting the juices flowing in your brain. And it's like, okay, how am I going to formulate this? And how do I want to start this? And then typically once you get started, you get in a groove and you're just writing, 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 writing. And the next thing you know, you're done. And so to me, marketing is very similar to that. And I even do like all of my social media posts. I do everything where it's scheduled out a month in advance for this exact same reason. So I get in the groove of things. And once I have Canva pulled up, if this is what January's card looks like and it says it's National whatever day it is, all I have to do is transition it to February, change the word February, change the picture, but the fonts are there, the location is there, everything is ready to go. You're just changing a little bit of wording in one picture and then it's done again, instead of having to log back in, think about what you're going to do for February. And it slows the whole process down. So it doesn't take me very long. I would say a couple of hours and I can have all of my mailers put together for the whole year. Some of the things, and hopefully all of you guys have at least played around in Canva a little bit. I'm going to do a screen share and give you a couple of examples of some of the random things that I have done.
Can I ask a question, Lesley?
Yeah, absolutely.
When you do your mailers, do you do handwritten or printed labels?
On like my cards that I'm sending out, or
Yeah, your cards, or
I write them all.
cards, I would assume they're just printed and sent out, but
Yeah, I just write them all.
yeah.
Got a
That's
nice big
the reason
callus on my middle
I
finger.
asked that. Back when I was new and I had time to sit in front of the TV and write out everything because I like the handwritten. I know it gets more attention. I'm a huge fan of that, or a proponent of that. But as I have no time, I also don't have an assistant or anybody that has good handwriting. So I've hired like 4 people, and the handwriting is atrocious. I don't know what's happening to the generation. The older generation, they still
Well,
have
they're
the,
not writing it in cursive, that's for sure.
well, they're not, but then I do find people that can write it in cursive, but then the mail carriers can't read it anymore. So I'm like,
That's
what do I
bad.
do with this? I really want to write them out, but I can't. I just don't have time. So I don't know if
Somebody,
anybody
I'll
else
have
has
to think of it and
problem.
report back, but somebody
Yeah.
was telling me that there's a program that you can use and it will print them, but it looks like handwriting.
It's called Ballpoint. They just
That's right.
they
Yep.
just started their real estate. They used to work for like investors. Now they work for agents as well, but it's not as, yeah, that's what it is. So
What
It
about
doesn't look,
what
it
about
doesn't look as good.
audience? Is audience one of them too? I don't remember if that was one of them that does that as well. I don't have my computer in front of me, so I
I'll write
can't
that
really look
down.
it
I
up.
can look that up.
Cause
I
yeah,
can't remember.
anymore, I just wind up, I'll text Kelly and I'll just send her something like, wedding gift, so and so, this address, here's their names, or I'll just take a picture off of whatever they posted on Facebook and it shows their names and I'll send her what the address is and then she'll order the rug and then she goes and drops it off. So
Yeah,
I do very little of it, even the handwritten stuff anymore. I'm like, hey, send them this, and we just kind of have a standard format
yeah,
of what it says. Even getting the Google reviews, she texts them and it's just like, hey, this is Kelly from Lesley's office, and our brokerage is having a contest to see who can get the most Google reviews this month. And you know how competitive Lesley is. So she's hoping that she can count on you for a 5-star review. Would it be okay if I text you the link? And then she sends it. I only have her send out 4 or 5 a week because if you start getting too many Google
yeah.
reviews, then they flag it like they think you're paying for reviews. So just send out a few. But what's crazy is if she asks for 5, we usually at least get 4. So it's weird. It makes it, I think, simpler. I've even told some of my new agents, I'm like, just partner up. And Julie, you send messages to Ryan. Ryan, you send messages to Julie's, because it just seems more natural. Like, hey, can you say something really nice about me versus, hey, we're running this contest and this is what we're doing. And then can she count on you? And it's like, oh, well, yeah, we can't let her down. And so they do it. I mean, it's really, really funny, but psychology.
Ecology.
So yeah, but anymore, Kelly is the one that's handwriting most of it. I still do on the fly here and there as I'm seeing something, or if it's on the weekend when she's not working and I see it, I'll just do it and fire it off. But she's really good at overseeing all of that and knocking it out for me. So, and she has good handwriting. You can read it. It doesn't look like I hired a doctor.
Yeah.
Trying to think of something else that maybe you could get around. I don't know how.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of my letters that I like to send out, just not to my sphere, just my letters in general. I like to send mailers out with handwriting because I don't know if you guys have ever gotten a ticket before, but you get like a million lawyer email or letters in the mail right after that. And I got one time and I had like 20 envelopes from attorneys. The one that I opened was handwritten, and I just had it like, oh, that's kind of a nice little thing, but I wasn't going to pay anybody to, fight this ticket. And then as I was driving to the courthouse, I said, you know what, let me call this number. And I did. And he's like, oh my gosh, I can totally get you out of that ticket and it'll cost half as much. Don't sweat it. I got you. And that was that. And I was like, and I opened that. That was huge to me, a marketing specialist. So I know it works, but
I,
sometimes I have to have it like in my face.
yeah. I've even had people, they're like, spray it with perfume, use a colored envelope, do this, do that. Because people are looking at it and they're like, what is this? Because it doesn't seem like a form letter
And I get
or,
those too. Yeah.
some
It's
credit
like,
card offer or whatever. It looks like
right.
something that's personal.
Yeah.
So we talked about last week, I even handwrite notes, like as I'm out driving around, I have a couple of different investors that I'm working with. And so if I'm showing houses to clients and the houses around them, the grass is tall, the roof is bad, the paint's bad, whatever, I just write down their address and I fire off a little handwritten note that I've got someone and I tell them their name. I don't make it sound like it's an investor because some people are really turned off by that.
Yeah.
But I have this great family and they're looking for a house and blah, blah, blah. And I handwrite it and send it off. So those have definitely for me. But some of the things that I have made on Canva, just to give you guys a couple of different things, like this is a checklist. So once I have one of my listings under contract, they get a list. And I have Kelly laminate these and she drops them off at their house. If they have little kids, I have ordered, I don't know how many Berenstain Bear books on the moving day. And so she puts this in there, she puts in a bottle of champagne and then some books for moving day further if they have a little kid that I think would like that. But it just goes over all of their dates. So you can create checklists on there. I have a ton of checklists that I've created on Canva. When their inspections are, when their repair request is due by. I learned something and I've been doing this for freaking ever, but I learned something from Bobby when we started working together in December. And she says, every time a buyer or a seller asks me a question, I know it's one thing I need to improve in my process. Because if I can answer their questions up front and they don't have any questions, then I've done my job. Don't get me wrong, I still send this out to people and then they still ask me, when is our closing date? And it's right on the flipping thing. I'm hoping that they put this on there. And this is what we tell them in the little note that we put in there. Hang this on your refrigerator. And the reason I wanted to do it is I'm hoping people come over to their house. And again, they're going to see my information and stuff on their refrigerator. I've got other friends and Girls with Grit that they get custom moving boxes and custom moving tape and all this stuff so that everybody sees that.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that's something that you can even design on Canva, but this is one of the things that, because Jackie, like you, it's like I have more hours I don't have enough hours in the day. I've got way too much stuff going on. And so the more things that I can eliminate up front, the better. Created a listing presentation on Canva. So if you guys haven't done that, there's tons of presentations on there. This one was for a seller that was actually out of state. So I went by, I took a picture of the house, they got me a code, I went in and looked at it, it needed some work. I made a list of the improvements that it needed. I put together a net of what their number was going to be. Here's what it's going to sell for. Here's how much it needs. Here's what it costs. This is what your check's going to be for at closing, minus payoff, minus taxes, and plus whatever your escrow refund is. Gives them the market stats. So all of this stuff, like these were just pictures that came directly from our MLS. These you can just embed into this, but you create whatever colors, whatever the presentation. So it's basically just a ton of templates that you can go in if you haven't played around. And then this just gives the rest of the propaganda on what we do.
I don't,
But
am I the only one?
do what?
I don't see it. Am I the only one?
You guys can't see it on my screen share? Can anybody else see it? Cynthia, Ryan, Julie?
No.
No, it just says has started screen sharing. It's been
Okay, time out.
Can't put baby in the corner.
That's right. There we go. Oop, let's go back.
There we go.
See it?
Yeah, I see Zoom.
And here's what's funny. It says your screen sharing is paused at the top. So if you can see it, whatever. But
We
like,
see
here's what
Zoom.
I was,
I don't
you can
know.
see what?
The Zoom screen. I don't see Canva.
That is so flipping bizarro. Okay, let's just try a new share. Does that work?
Oh, there it is.
Yep.
Woohoo! Technology is awesome when it works, or when you know how to work it.
Yeah.
So like I was saying, there's the front of the house. I gave a list of what I thought that it needed in order to get the money that I think that it's worth, top dollar, because they asked me specifically what repairs they needed to make. So then I go through what their net is, stats from our MLS. And then these you can just fire off and they can answer them. Testimonials, those are super duper important in any of the marketing you do. Kind of propaganda on what my history is, what our
Oh, I love
listings
the
sell
picture.
for. Pictures of, it's important to have professional photos and professional staging. There's the pictures of another agent on an expired listing at the top and my listing photo on the bottom, and it's the same darn kitchen. So anyway, I do those and I email this stuff out. Like if this person was going to be in town, I email out my presentation before. It doesn't have the numbers in it like this one does because I haven't seen her house yet. But it still has all the testimonials. It still has all of the rest of the stuff. I email that before I go out on my listing presentation. And then I do the numbers and things like that once I'm there. Here we go again, guys. Trying to get this stupid screen share to work one of these days. So these are some samples of postcards that I've made. And this is something I've really been working on. This is something that Tom Ferry has really been pushing over the last, well, since I went to conference in January, so 9 months. Did you hear about your neighbor? Because everybody's nosy and they want to know what's going on in their neighborhood. So the thing that I really feel like I'm using Canva for the most at this point, QR codes. It's going on pretty much every ounce of my marketing. And then I'm creating, let me see if I can share this. Let's see how I can make this happen. So I can new screen. Let's see. Because I'm trying to find a website. Hold on. Can you see my screen?
Zoom.
Can you see my screen?
What's going on next door?
Okay.
Yes.
So this is one that I just sold. And this is one that I have an investor that's getting it and we're going to resell it. So he's flipping the house. And so one of the things that Tom Ferry is preaching right now that I think has been super important and super impactful is talking about the story and what it's taking to get the business and to get the dollar figure that you're getting and explaining the entire process to people. Because one of the things that I think we failed on is we've made this job look very simple to the public. We don't want any of our clients to understand that there's a hiccup. We don't want anybody on social media to understand that there was an issue. And then you and I all know that it was a total dumpster fire behind the scenes. And all of these hoops that we had to jump through and all of the phone calls that we had to make. And that's one of the things that people need to understand when we're sitting here talking about our paychecks potentially being negotiated way more than what we would like. This is one way that we can go in and go, look, this isn't as simple as getting something under contract. Usually that's part of the easiest part of what we've had, especially the last 4 years. So it's like, what did it take to get it ready to go to market? What did it take after we had it under contract to get everything put together and to get everybody into the house or paid? So that's one of the things. So when they scan that QR code, I'm creating a landing page for each one of my properties. And I'm doing that through Lofty since that's the program that we use to reel. But it talks about what it is, what it took, how fast we got there, because this is one of my buyers. I'll show you one of the seller ones here in a minute. But it just, this is to me the biggest point, Lesley's Facebook link. So I want them to follow the progress. I want them to see what I'm doing because again, I know the more times they see my name and they see my face, the more they're going to remember it. And so the more you can capture them in your web, the better. So, but this is talking about I couldn't come right out. I wanted to and say, this is going to be back on the market. If you know anybody that wants to buy it or sell it or blah, blah, blah. But I don't want in trouble for a coming soon listing that I'm marketing beforehand. So I just follow me to see the demo and to see whatever is happening. So yesterday I posted updates. But this one is one, and I got a ton of response. I had a ton of neighbor calls because they had kittens when I sold this house for what it sold for. So this one was another postcard. It's the exact same postcard that I sent out. So on the front, it's me on the phone. Did you hear about your neighbors? So nothing changes on the front of that postcard at all. The only thing that changes on the back of the postcard is the address and the QR code. And then the QR code drives them to this. Your neighbors sold for $414,000 more than they paid 4 years ago. Curious about how they did it? Here's how. And then it talks about for 4 years, they were working on that house, and I kept making trips over there to help them design that house and pick out finishes and this, that, and the other to get it ready for us to have that house on the market. And then the other thing that I thought was really interesting is I love stats because numbers take the emotion out of everything and it really drives things home. So like this part of it here, my marketing created an open house event and multiple private showings that attracted 34 buyers, which is a great result considering only 14 houses sold in 12 months between 700 and 900,000 in the Wichita School District. Like that's just not a common price point in our market, sadly. But that's what it is. So you want people to understand it's not this huge buyer pool, and this is what our marketing created. But the other side of it is down here. It talks about it's 8 days on the market. This is the under contract price. Here's the square footage price. And this is how many total media views, social media and Zillow that I had looks on their house. I just got a listing that somebody took off the market with another agent, and she says, well, she did social media. And I said, what'd she do? Well, she made a YouTube video. I said, great, I can pull it up. Pulled it up, and I'm like, it had 23 views. 23 views in 2 months. And I'm like, I made this video earlier today of me chasing my cat, and I had like 8,000 people that looked at it. It had nothing to do with this, but I'm like, here's kind of what an average of mine look like. And it's great when you can have those and you can show off what you're doing. This is another little tip here. When I'm going out on my listing photo shoots, I make the photographer take a picture of me in the house because I know on social media and on marketing, get my face in front of it, I get more views than if I don't have my face on it. So, because they're your friends, they're your sphere, they're watching you. And then down at the bottom, it's like, if you have a similar goal, let's chat. So I'm trying to capture their lead information so that we can do more business in the future. Okay, back to this wonky screen share thing. Let me go back to a couple of other things that I have on my desktop. Can you see Zoom? Can you see my? Okay. This is one of my favorite ones that we send out. I'm just trying to earn brownie points. If I met somebody and I think they could be a VIP and I think that they're a good person for me to get to know a little better, I have had mugs made and they have all of my contact information and everything on it. And I have Kelly, she orders off of Amazon those mugs that you can make or the brownies you can make in a mug. And she puts a little bit of tissue paper and some curling ribbon and all that crap on it. And she just goes and drops it off. But on the back, she handwrites a little note. They think it's me. And it's like, hey, it was so great to meet you at Vorshay's at our networking mixer. I'd love to get to know you better. Give me a call and let's meet for coffee. So, but it's just something to be memorable and to stay in front of. But man, I mean, if you guys have used Canva at all, there is just so many different things that you can do with it. My signs were created on Canva. Let's see, what else did I have here? I do a podcast, and whenever somebody's been on the podcast, I create a QR code of that podcast on YouTube, and I put it on a mug for them to take to work, hopefully, and it says, I was the star on episode blah, 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 and it has the QR code on it, and I'm hoping their friends scan it and then start following me on the podcast. But these are just a sample of the monthly mailers that I send out to my database and how I think that everything, so Postcards was going to be my next little tidbit for real quick since we're running close on time, but this is one thing. So like I was saying before, so when I'm making these, all I have to do is change the month here, and whatever the month is that I'm promoting or the day that I'm promoting for tortilla chip day or whatever, and then I just have to change the picture. But this is something kind of pro tip on the postcards. I love to try to intermingle my marketing. So if I'm sending out a postcard, like I was showing you, it's going to go to my website, or this is driving them to my Facebook. So funniest, best one to me that I've ever done of these is it was like, it go and register, or on my Facebook business page, it took them there and it says post, congratulations on an awesome year. So I had all these people, congratulations on an awesome year, all over my Facebook business page. Nobody else even knew why they were doing it, but my sphere knew that they were doing it to register to win something. So this, for instance, 2 tickets to go to Roxy's downtown. Think about people that are in a VIP list or that own a business that you like to go to and go and network with them. A lot of times they'll give you the tickets for free. If nothing else, you buy a couple of them and they'll throw in a couple or something like that. And you tell them that you're going to give this out. Hey, I'm mailing out 500 of these postcards this month to my database, and this is what's going to happen. And we're going to announce a winner. I'm going to tag you in it. So the more places you can tag on social media and the more ways you can tie your sphere into what you're doing on the day-to-day, into your social media feed, into your website, that's where the money's at. So we do this quite a bit. This was one of the monthly ones. We had a bicycle giveaway, but I try to keep stuff where it's local. So I'm wanting to build those relationships with other local business owners. So I'm doing that while I'm promoting this to my database. So it's kind of the most bang for my buck is how I feel about it. On the postcards, okay, so I've got that link to other marketing, QR codes. One quick tip on QR codes. I see people do this all the time and it drives me absolutely crazy because they're making social media posts with QR codes. They're on their phone, they can't scan it. So unless you're putting it on something for print, it's really, really difficult because the majority of people at this point are on a handheld device. They're not on a laptop where then they take out their computer and they scan your QR code. So don't waste your time. But also one other thing, going back to what all of this was, even like these websites that I'm designing, I'm then putting those on my business page. I'm then boosting it to an area that's around that, like, you know, Hayesville, did you know, blah, blah, blah. And then they can look at that. Follow me as we update this house in Hayesville. Follow me as we do this and this. Click on this to see the new listing we've got coming up. So I've learned that the more times I can make it specific to catch their attention, they're like, Hayesville, what's this about Hayesville? I live in Hayesville. And then they'll look at it. So keep it local on those boosted posts. I feel like that works the best. I think the only other things I was really going to chat about on postcards, I've had several people over the years ask me where I get my postcards at. So I design them on Canva. You can put in whatever size you want. I have learned on the monthly ones, they get the littler ones. They're like a 4x6. On the ones that I'm sending out, have you heard about your neighbor? They're the big ones. They're the jumbo size because the little one gets lost in the rest of the mail. My clients at this point, since they're used to getting something every month, it doesn't get as lost because they're looking for it, I think, at this point, because they're registering for giveaways and they're doing whatever. And so it's just kind of something funny. And a lot of times on those, it's the same people that register over and over again. And typically, hopefully none of them are watching any of this, but it's the people that I want to win are the ones that win. It's the people that like, oh, this is somebody good. In my mom's neighborhood, it was a lady that registered for a custom cutting board for Mother's Day. And she's been following me on social media. I knew who it was. I had her be the winner. Next thing you know, she's referring her neighbor. I went out and met her, talked to her. A little while after that, well, it was actually Valentine's the year later. I went and dropped off a little Valentine's gift, did Pop-Bys for different random people, just trying to stay in front of them. And then I wound up with a $500,000 listing in the neighborhood, which you'd think my mom would be my big cheerleader, but now I'm taking Cheryl. So corner lot marketing is who I have print my postcards 99.9% of the time. When you go onto their website, they have a lot of like generic samples, but I'm designing mine on Canva. And they've just told me pick any of the postcards, it doesn't matter, and then send us the file when you get the confirmation from us, and we'll print what you want, then you get to proof it, and then they mail it out. So I can send them a mailing list and they address it, send it off for me. Or for these ones that are going to the neighborhoods, they will send out whatever quantity I want, and I can give them that address, and then they base it around that property. So I send out 100, they can go, okay, we're going to send out 100 closest to whatever address I put in on that. Postage, everything's included. It's really easy to knock it out. If you wanted to do like some of the things, like I have thank you postcards that just have me sitting on a couch on my laptop, or the brownie postcards or something like that, where you're going to have several of them and you're going to want to send them out yourselves. 48-hour print, super good, super cheap. Canva, you can print stuff directly from Canva. I find that some of the stuff, it doesn't come back as glossy as I want on the postcards. It does come back really glossy on the print. And the other thing I like printing on Canva is I don't have to have large batches. So if you just wanted to order 20 of something, it's pretty affordable to get that done. And then the other thing that I have done with postcards, have any of you guys used Every Door Direct? Are you familiar with it? And Jackie said yes. So Every Door Direct Mail is actually a program through the US Postal Service. So what they do is they give you a really big discount, but you're going to deliver something to every single person in the mail route. Let me stop screen sharing on this. So depending on how many houses are in that mail route, this is excellent for farming. It could be 500 houses. It could be 1,000. So you're just going to have to look and see how many it is. If you're doing it yourself, it's kind of a pain in the buns because you have to have them wrapped in a piece of paper with, you have to bind them in certain quantities. You have to put what route it goes to. You have to take them to the post office that delivers the mail to that neighborhood in order for them to go out. But you don't put any postage on them, and it is very deeply discounted compared to sending out jumbo postcards. So I have ordered those in the past from 48-hour print and sent them out to a neighborhood that I was farming every month and a half. And it's expensive. That's what I can tell you. I mean, I was spending a couple $1,000s a month on postcards. And I didn't feel like I was getting the ROI on that compared to my database and the past clients of listings we sold, like what Cynthia was talking about. It's kind of like gambling and putting your money into a slot machine. That's how a lot of marketing is. But at some point, I just have to get up from the table, and probably the next person that sends something out in the mail, they're going to get a listing from it. But I try to give everything that I do at least a year, especially if it's going to be something where they have to repeatedly see your name over and over again in order for me to get something out of it. And that is the one thing with postcards. If you send a just sold card or a just listed card and you're only sending one, don't send them at all. The listing isn't as bad if you're going to do it. You know, you're going to have a listing coming up and you can get it out like right at the head of that listing. Great. But if you're going to send out something just sold and think that you're going to pick up listings out of it, doesn't happen usually. They're going to have to see your name over and over. They're wanting stats. They're wanting dated, you know, they're wanting you to court them. And they're wanting to get familiar with you. And a lot of times when they get it, they're just not quite ready. I've had one person call me that they got my card and they saved it for 2 years. I can't even find something I set down this morning, so I didn't save anything for 2 years. I need faster instant gratification than 2 years. So those are some of the tips that I've got on postcards, but I was trying to keep it all where it ties together this week on marketing and Pop-Bys and using Canva. Someplace else for Pop-Bys I think is really good. I don't know why my screen just got dark. Dollar Tree. There are so many little things, little baskets, little, like we did last year's anniversary gift for all of our clients is it was like a little popcorn tub that came from Dollar Tree. And I think I had to order like 20 of them or something in a box. But anyway, Kelly put in a couple things of microwave popcorn and some candies in it. And I made a little postcard up on Canva. It said, just wanted to pop by and wish you a happy house anniversary. And it had a little thing that looked just like our popcorn in it. And she wrote on the back of each one of them, you know, wishing you another wonderful year in your home. I hope you love it just as much now as you bought it. And then she sends it out. So every year I come up with a different idea of what we're dropping off for house anniversaries. This year I did mugs with QR codes, and I've been recording a message for each one of my clients. And that's what the QR code takes them to. It's just a message of me saying, hey, can you believe you lived in this house 20 years? Can you believe that I sold real estate 20 years ago? I think I was 3 when I sold you that house. And so you can customize the message to say whatever it is that you want to say and wish them whatever year it is of their house anniversary. But on the coffee mug, it says happy house anniversary. It's got the QR code, and then it's got my name and contact number and company logo on the other side of it. So hopefully they drink out of it at work. Again, it all goes back to getting the most bang for you. So does anybody else have any questions or any comments about what they use things for or what they're having success for, whether it's farming or Canva or whatever?
Here's a suggestion, especially for those who might not have the clientele. Like me, I'm in California. I've been here 6 years. I still don't know a lot of people, but I'm in a lot of local groups where everybody likes to put their dirty laundry out there or put something good out there. So the one in Lodi where I work out of, Lodi 411. So that page has a lot of drama, has a lot of good things, has a lot about food trucks because food trucks are popular here, I guess, in California. Anyways, lots of various things. And then people are posting, oh my God, I love this restaurant. You should come check this out. They're new, blah, blah, blah. So if you are in your local groups, anybody that puts out there something positive about a restaurant or whatever, maybe you can share that with your clients and or send that person your card and say, hey, I saw your post, blah, blah, blah. Congratulations, whatever the case is. Maybe they had a good experience with a plumber. Maybe you need a plumber or a drywall guy. I mean, I'm a flooring installer, so I post that out there all the time. So just because I want people to know that they can call me if they have problems. So if I see somebody that has a problem with their floors, I want to send them my information, blah, blah, blah. Or if they just bought the house and they need a floor person, I still put that out there because I want to reel in clients. And same thing with being with the groups. I'm in people's homes all the time. So doing floors, and they didn't use me to buy their house, but they tell me about all their problems. So I leave them my card and then I just stay in touch with them, even though they may not use me next time on their sale or whatever, but they might refer me to somebody else.
2 things I'm thinking on this. One, I've seen several agents that have become very successful networking by creating their own pages. So their own, like, Lodi, here's your Lodi go-to list, you know, whatever. And so you post the restaurants you like. You could go and make videos of what you had to eat there, who the owner is, ask them some questions about where they got their recipes, whatever it is that you want. Onto the flooring thing. Every day in MLS, when you see houses that sell and their flooring is really dated, you should be sending them something with your flooring stuff. You know, hey,
That's a good idea.
congratulations on buying your new house. If you're thinking about installing new flooring, call me. It doesn't have to be anything about real estate on that note, but then you get to know them And we all know that people move every few years. And so here it is, future business and or even referral business after that, like once you've built that relationship with them. And they've got to know you, they know the quality of the work, they know you show up when you say you're going to show up and you do what you're going to do when you told them you were going to do it. So just future stuff you can do.
And I do hear a lot of stories when it comes to real estate. When it comes to these folks that have bought their home and they wish they would have known me because they're like, what the hell? And so
Well,
I
and
said,
why are
well,
they saying that? Why did they not have a good experience?
because they see how I work doing floors. And so with my husband telling them, oh yeah, my wife does real estate, blah, blah, blah. And then when I show up, they're putting all of their problems on me, telling me what happened. And they're like, well, what would you have done? So I share my experiences because I have the years and experience. So I share that with them. And they're like, oh my gosh, I wish I would have known you because I know this wouldn't have never happened because I share my experience, even working in Kansas. It's still real estate. It's all the same. It's just a different state. It's just a matter of how you approach that and how you have your experience to share that. So it's really hard to deal with that here because I'm like, man, and I got to compete with these agents and I'm not even from California. And it's just like, it boggles my mind. How do I fix this? So I always tell them, well, refer your friends or your family to me because they won't have this problem if I'm working with them.
So what's the fastest way to get that information out to the masses? Here's what I just ran into somebody and they had this problem buying a house. This is what you need to do. This is what I would do if you were my client, blah, blah, blah. And what's the fastest way, Cynthia, to get that out to the masses?
Video.
Amen, sister.
Video. I mean, it's just, even if it's a minute and a half, if I can
That's
try
all
to
it
keep
needs to be.
Yeah.
Everybody, goldfish attention span, they're not going to be there even a minute and a half. If you can get it done
I
in
think
60.
I think it's 45 seconds actually, is what I saw at the
If you
last
can't catch it in
statistics.
10 seconds, they're on to the next person. But it blows my mind how many people aren't even in my market and they comment. I've had people lately since my videos have taken a back seat. They're like, is Facebook just not putting your videos in front of me? What's going on? I haven't seen you. I don't even know who these people are. Or they'll message me and they're like, I just bought a house in DC and man, I can't tell you how much I learned just from watching your videos when you're doing, and what I learned in order to tell my agent in DC what to do. And I'm like, next time you buy something, have me recommend an agent in DC, and then it's just a whole nother income stream. But the more you can take those stories, Cynthia, just as they're happening to you, and you can just immediately write it down. And then again, no different than the postcards, you just sit down and you make all the videos at one time. It just makes it so much easier because you're there, you're already dressed up, you look the way you want to look on camera, and you just knock it out and do it. And I'm saying that feeling like the biggest hypocrite on the planet because I haven't been doing it, but I know it works. I'm freaking swamped from it right now.
Well, and one other thing too is the disclosures. California has these crazy rules with disclosures. And when I'm there doing the floors and we do a demo, you will not believe the shit that they don't disclose. And I'm like, and they're like, they didn't tell us about this. And now we're having to deal with this and pay. And I'm like, it is what it is, but that is the difference in listing agents. Are you going to do a good service by explaining to your client on the disclosure form what we're supposed to put on there? Like I had a client, he had a flood in his house. He was not going to put on there. And I told him I'm not listing his house if he's not going to be truthful. So he wrote down the disclosures. We did the carpet, we did everything. And when the buyer bought the listing, they asked about the floors and the flooding. And so I was truthful because they're going to pull up some of the carpet in the front of the house and put in the LVP. So I told them what they need, where to go, but I was truthful about it because when they pull that carpet up, they're going to see where it was flooded.
Yeah. It's always better to overeducate and over explain than be caught with your pants down after the fact. I'd way rather do it up front than in the back, trying to defend it afterwards.
So I'll use that idea on the video.
Yeah, they work, I could tell you. Anybody else have any other questions or anything that they've been using Canva for or what they've been doing for Pop-Bys that have really got a good response?
No,
Okay, well, if
I
you
haven't
think
been
of
doing
anything or
Pop-Bys, but I'm glad to hear that other people are getting a good response on it because some of my clients are like 2 hours away. I'm in Atlanta. Our
Hard.
traffic can be horrible, so
That's
Pop-Bys are
why I did the
favorite.
that's why I did the coffee mugs this year for the house anniversary because I'm like, okay, so I was trying to keep it at like $3 to $5 a year.
Yeah,
And even with that, if I order it in bulk enough, because I mean, you've done enough deals and I've done enough deals that there's enough to buy in bulk. So it's
right.
like oven mitts with my name and brokerage and phone number on it or whatever. But then Kelly goes and drives it around at her wage. And I'm like, hell, I could have just spent more money and got something directly mailed to them. There is something about Kelly dropping them off. And then what I have her do is take a picture that and whatever we're dropping off, we have it where it just can hang on the doorknob
Yeah.
or set on a porch, but typically hang on a doorknob. When we first started it, we just left them. And I couldn't believe that nobody called me and thanked me for it. And I was like, what the hell? What's wrong with these people? And then I told Kelly, I said, next month when you go and do this, take a picture of every door and text me the address that it went to. And so then I would take her picture and I would forward it back to my client. And I'm like, hey, I was just thinking of you. I was in your neighborhood, drop this by for you. And they're, oh my God, that's so sweet of you. And then it starts
Unless
the
do they check
conversation.
their front doors because people go in through the garage a lot. They don't even see their front
Yep.
doors for like 2 weeks sometimes. So
Yep.
um,
I had a big thing for a while. I saw some ad from Kirkland's or something that came in the mail and they were doing double rugs. It was like a mat with then the bristle rug on top that had some crazy saying. And I was like, dude, I need to step up my rug game. I posted something about it on social media. I'm like, who knew that it was double rugs? Like, dang. And so then it was funny because people started commenting and showing me pictures of double rugs and other advertising. So then I kind of made it my thing. Every time I went and listed a house, I put 2 rugs down. And I was like, we stepped up the porch double rug game, and so then it was kind of funny because some of my clients were commenting about it and they were like religiously commenting about it. So I would drive and go change out rugs on their front porch and I wouldn't tell them. And I would see how long it took for them to see the rugs. And they're like, oh my God. And one of their husbands went out to get their Amazon box one day and he was just like, don't just stand there, bust a move. And she's like, what are you talking about? And he was like, when did you buy that rug? And she's like, what are you talking about? And so she went out there and saw it and she immediately knew it was me because here's this double rug. And she's texting me and I told her I did a drive-by rugging. But I mean, just funny, stupid stuff like that. And it's like, however much play I can get out of it, I just try to milk it for every flipping thing that it's worth. I saw some rug thing, and there was 3 rugs in one picture, and I was like, okay, this is getting a little excessive. We're not doing 3 rugs, and I posted it on Facebook, and it's funny, like what people comment. So I don't know. I keep doing it. All of my listings still have double rugs. And I buy those all in bulk too. And I just have them and I just drop them off when I'm ready for them. Actually, Kelly drops them off 99% of the time at this point. Kelly's really the realtor. I just show up occasionally.
I just hired a virtual assistant. She's in another state. But she would totally wrap things and send them out for me if I ordered stuff in bulk and sent them to her house. That would be
Does she have good handwriting?
I don't know. I just as we were having this call, I was like, her name's Kelly. I'm like, I wonder if Kelly has good handwriting because she would totally address all my mailers and everything. She's just amazing. So
Kelly and I
it
have known
only
each
took me
other.
10 years to find somebody amazing after my other one went off to med school. They think they
I
have
went to 6th grade with this one. So we've known each other since 6th grade.
nice.
And her handwriting still looks the same. I still have the yearbook where it says stay cool or, where they sign down the middle of the binder, like I just signed your crack or something like, like that, that you did when you were 12. So yeah. So we've
So-
known each other a minute.
I do closing gifts, but not all the time. I might be
Yeah.
unfair, but I don't do, so I usually get, I buy a home warranty for my buyers. And then there's another company, another military spouse that I like to support veterans and vet spouses. I'm in all those groups. So she sells wine and she sells these bottles that says home sweet home and they're decorated. They're like glitzy. So I just put a bow on it with my business card and they love it. But I buy them by the case. So I just don't like to show up with, well, a lot of times I show up with nothing. It depends on the client, really. If I don't like them, I'm not giving them anything. Not even, but
We're going to work on, David and I just had this conversation. We're going to work more on the people that are relocating to Wichita,
yeah,
doing a couple of things with just some different suggestions. So like I already had a gift card to this tiki bar that we have here in Wichita, and they're Hispanic. They love all these rum drinks, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you know what? We need to start working on this and offer suggestions so that people can get more familiar with Wichita, go try new things that they don't know where they're at or whatever. And it's places we love. And the more that we go in and we're already there anyway, and we're buying gift cards, then it just shows our friends that are the owners, we're doing more business with them. So, or sending them more business. So they better do business with us. I'm all about guilt tripping them.
yeah, that's
They don't.
for my relocation clients. I make them a box and I leave it in the house so they don't even know. Like when they leave after the final walkthrough, I put a little box of, again, it goes kind of back to my military base housing. When you would, if any of you are familiar with that, when you move into base housing, sometimes they give you this box and it's got like a roll of toilet paper, an oven mitt, a shower curtain, because nobody brings a shower curtain and sometimes they can't take a shower, like aluminum foil, just a roll of paper towels. So I put my oven mitt with my name on it. And every time, like a popcorn bag and a pizza coupon. But I think I'm going to start doing what you're doing, the local restaurant instead, to kind of help
I
that.
saw this book on,
They tell me all the time, they're like, oh my gosh, this box had everything we forgot in it the night we moved into our house. Where did you come up with this idea? It's not like this big thing that we thought you were going to do. Because sometimes I give Tiffany glasses for my extra bougie people or the people who have moved up in the world. Because again, I'm in Atlanta.
Yeah.
So you just move into your first $500,000 condo, you're going to get some Tiffany glasses and the bottle of
yeah,
home sweet home because you've earned it, you know?
there's a book on Amazon, 100 Things to Do in Wichita Before You Die. Because most of the time they're not coming here going, okay, this is this. I don't know why my light keeps changing. Like this vacation hotspot. So they're like, shit, we're getting relocated to Wichita. Where is that again? And so I've done this, and there's a Kansas cutting board you can order off of Amazon and some different things. So for the ones that I really liked, yeah, I'll do extra stuff. But overall, I just don't make it a habit on the closing gift side of things. Are you in the mill estate organization?
Yeah,
Okay.
when you were saying people don't even know you, when you showed up in the mill estate group, this is something that you guys should know about Lesley. She showed up in a mastermind that's a national mastermind of military people that I was on. And I was like, oh my gosh, I've been following you on TikTok for a year. She had no idea who I was.
These
But I
videos
just
work,
like
guys.
your videos. They're like my personality. And I'm like, I've got to start doing videos. I've got to start doing videos. Oh, I don't have any makeup on today. I need some Botox. You know, I overthink it all, but I've
Done
been
is better than perfect. I was
I
going to say,
find-
even if the letters are legible, done is better than perfect. It
yeah,
doesn't need to be calligraphy.
I finally
I just
have
think
a YouTube channel.
I'm going to stop recording this because people are going to be like,